Welcome back. Welcome back. It's another episode of Bench Mob Podcast. We are back in the studio again. Took a little break, but we back here. How you doing today?
I'm doing good.
So we're gonna get right into it. Le'Veon Bell, we have to talk about it. Le'Veon Bell is no longer a New York Jet. He is on the Kansas City Chiefs. What's your thoughts on this signing? Who do you blame as a Jets fan? Do you put this on Le'Veon or?
No, I don't put it on Le'Veon because he was just put in a bet. Well, he's dumb for signing here, one, because you could already see that we had no offense. Yeah, he wanted the chicken, but you're not going to get the stats. You're going to get the money, but you're not going to get the numbers. So he knew what he signed up for, but at the same time, we hired a coach who doesn't know what he's doing. Like Adam Gase is an airhead at this point. I'm not mincing words anymore because I can't watch the games on Sunday because every week, like last week, we didn't even score a point against the Dolphins, and he still has a job this week. I didn't know that was going to be possible, but hey, he needs to buy some lottery tickets because he's got somebody on his side.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be there at least to the end of the season. When you got the acting owner coming out speaking up on his behalf and calling him an offensive genius and things of that nature, and you even Sam Darnold, when he comes on the radio station, he takes the blame and he takes responsibility for what's going on. And it's obviously not on Sam Darnold.
It's not on him at all.
But speaking of Sam Darnold, it puts the Jets, the Giants, a lot of teams in a tough situation that have these young quarterbacks that they drafted high. Are the Jets and the Giants, are we on a tank for Lawrence type of season? Or are we?
I mean, I know we are, but I don't know if the Giants are because they honestly should have won that game last night. But the Giants will be the Giants. They blew it, but it's looking like the Jets are just trading off assets and making moves so we can keep losing.
So is this the end? Are we giving up on Sam Darnold then?
I wouldn't, but that's what it's looking like at this point because it's a new GM. We're going to end up bringing a new coach in who's probably going to want his own guy. Plus, Sam's going to be up for an extension soon. So we don't even know exactly what Sam is going to be yet. And we can't really get a good definitive description of that without talent, and this team doesn't have much. So I think he'll be good somewhere else, honestly. I think he's going to have his best years somewhere else, like the Colts or one of these teams that need a QB. But at this point, it's looking more and more likely that we're going to have a new quarterback next year.
The thing that I think that's interesting with it, though, we're hearing some rumors and reports that if the Jets do get that number one pick, though, that it's being suggested to Lawrence that he should stay and not come out in the draft. How would that go about? You feel me? Like, if he decides to stay, that kind of ruins your whole plan.
Yeah, I mean, it does kind of ruin the plan, but at the same time, you could also end up just taking a really good player or trade back and get like a ton of picks for that number one pick. But it would be dumb for Trevor to come back. Like, he's already graduated, doesn't have anything else to prove here. He's won a national championship. I mean, the only thing to come back for is a Heisman, and he honestly might get it this year. But
yeah, 5-touchdown game recently. Yeah. They put up 73 points in the.
He hasn't even been playing full games yet
in a win.
They're just blowing everybody out. But if he came back, like, you risk injury. Like, it's kind of the same thing with Tua. Like, he was so injury prone that for him to come back another year, even though he missed so much time in his junior year, it wouldn't make sense. Get your money, secure the bag, and then worry about everything after that.
Now, you mentioned Tua, who is going to get the starting position this week. He played a little bit last week. They're benching Fitzpatrick, who, and I quote, he said he was heartbroken. This hurt his heart.
He's been heartbroken a lot in his career. So,
what's your thoughts on the benching? Like, he said he knew it was going to happen. It was just a matter. It wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when. But I think it was kind of short-circuited. He was kind of starting to play
He was playing well.
Like,
honestly.
Fitzpatrick gets on these runs and he gets hot. So he was kind of getting hot in a roll, and I think it's kind of it's interesting timing that they would do this now.
I just think that they had this planned the whole time, like coming off the bye, make the QB change regardless of where they are in the standings, help Tua develop, because that's the main focus at this point in the season. Like, they're not Super Bowl contenders. They were good with Fitzpatrick, but I don't even know if they would have made the playoffs, honestly. But Tua's the main goal. You drafted this QB. It's been a while. It's been since like Dan Marino, since they had a good QB, and Tua could be that guy. So why waste time with Fitzpatrick, who he'll probably be playing somewhere next year or somewhere this year. He could get traded to the Cowboys. That might be a good move to make. But at this point, yeah, I feel his pain because they were 3-3 in second place in the division, like one game behind the Bills. So it looks like to the rest of the guys, like I thought we were competing. I thought we were trying to win games, and now we're like switching it up. Like Tua can develop at his own pace when we're out of contention, but I mean, Fitzpatrick's not wrong. Like, I thought this was his team. I didn't think Tua was going to play at all this year because of how well Fitzpatrick was playing. So I know it was a shock for him and probably all people, even fantasy people, because I know I had him. I had to let him go.
In FanDuel, I had Fitzpatrick last week. He did me well. He did me justice. So I was kind of shocked too when I was seeing the updates. It was like Tua's in the game. I'm like, did he get hurt or injured?
That's what I thought too. Yeah.
Nah, Fitz didn't get injured. And shout out to him to being, the professional that he is. Like, even when Tua did well, he was cheering him on. That's professional.
He probably didn't know he was going to lose his job though. He was cheering like, "Hey, yeah, show what you could do."
Yeah, that's cute. That's cute. But I'm back in there next week to then be told, "Hey, big bro, you sit on the bench." And it's an interesting dynamic they have. Like, even Tua said they kind of have like a father-son relationship.
Yeah.
So it's kind of I could get where he's saying it's heartbroken. Like, for example, you own something as a father, and now you got to pass the torch, but you're not really ready to pass the torch.
Yeah.
They just forcing you to pass the torch. Like, it has to come out of your hand. So it is.
He should know at this point that's what it is with him. Like, he's just a placeholder for teams now. He's not somebody you build a team around. He's there to put fans in the seats and win games and
the limited seats that's allowed.
Yeah.
I mean,
in Miami
they
could have a full house.
A full house, which is crazy to me. Full house there. Then you have Miami. You mentioned the Bills. It's a couple of big games coming up this week. One of the things we do want to touch on, though, before we look at these next week's games coming up. Last week, right? Mm-hmm. Browns lose. This was kind of a barometer, a big game that you would want to win against a good team. I was one of the people we talked about on the show, like, can we really believe in the Browns going off against the likes of a Cowboys team, and would they be able to show up in this game? They did not against a division rival. Baker Mayfield looked like the Baker Mayfield of old. Odell, for the first time, I can say, I think, in Cleveland actually responded and showed some emotion and took the cleats off on the bench, was slamming the helmet, and came out and let it be known he's frustrated. What's your thoughts on Odell? You think this is something, as you know, maybe being overreacted? They're hearing talks of, here's the real Odell, the Odell from the Giants showing out. Is he wrong though? I mean, he's in his prime, and his prime years being wasted.
He's not wrong. I mean, maybe keep the temper in check a little bit, because they're 4-2 still. They're still like pretty well set up to make a playoff run. Baker needs to play better. And Odell, it sucks that he's losing prime years like this, but at this point you have to do what you got to do. You got paid. They're paying you to stay here.
Man, free OBJ, yeah.
Yeah. It would be nice, but not many teams are going to trade for that contract, one. And two, what you have to give up to get Odell is going to be a lot because they gave up a lot to get him from the Giants. They gave up a first-round pick, Jabril, other picks, I think. It's not going to be easy to trade him, but I could see him trying to force a trade like behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. Get Rich Paul on the phone or something like that. Get something in motion. Work for AD.
Yeah, maybe he tries to, hey, let's get a Le'Veon Bell situation or something. Like, release me and let me go elsewhere because I feel bad for OBJ.
But would you really do that if they're paying you $17 million a year and that's guaranteed?
The thing that's tough with, I probably wouldn't do that, but at what point do you just say, forget the money in a sense because I'm tired of losing? I'll take the $17 million bag if I'm getting my 10 targets a game, 100 yards. I was on pace. If I'm Odell, I was on pace. I'm in the talks with Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, Terrell Owens.
All them.
I'm in the conversation with them. Now he kind of becomes that forgotten person in Cleveland because I don't have a quarterback. In T.O.'s words, I love my team. I love my quarterback. Tony Romo would have been able to get Odell the ball. Like,
exactly.
The real issue is, all right, they're a run-heavy team. And they're a run-heavy team because they know they can't trust Baker. You feel me? So it's like, do I stay or do I go? That's a song, right? I seen it on commercials and stuff. Like, do I stay or do I go? It's tough. I'm still in my 20s at the peak. And I'm just sitting here getting stats of 3 catches and 46 yards a game. 6 targets. And because they don't trust Baker, this joker is only getting like 23 attempts to throw in an entire game. Meanwhile, you got Kareem Hunt get 25 rushing attempts. David Johnson, this guy's the third string. Chubb gets injured. All right, don't worry about it. We're going to give running attempts to him. They're the number 1 rushing team in the league.
And it's not by accident. It's on purpose. This is to hide Baker and keep him from making too many mistakes. Like, they were down big last week, so you saw kind of Baker, the real Baker. Like, he's not that good. And for this team to have all these weapons, like you have 2 all-pro running backs, basically, 2 really good receivers. Like, what more can you ask for on offense? Like, I know his skill set is a little different than some of these other guys. Like, imagine if Kyler had these weapons, how nasty the Browns would be. Like, it's honestly looking like they might have to move on from Baker a little sooner than they thought. And they might be a little hesitant just because they took him with the number 1 pick, and then you don't really want to admit that, yeah, he's not.
Oh, you gotta admit it though. You gotta let it burn. The song starts off by saying it's gonna burn for me to say this. It's coming from my heart. It's been a long time coming, but we done grew apart, Baker.
Yeah.
This has to end. You feel me? You have all those weapons, and it's not producing anything. Person that comes to my mind, I think even if they added, hey, nobody want to do it. It's not a popular thing to do. Sign Cap. I think Cap would do much more with those weapons than Baker Mayfield. And he ain't played in 3-4 years. I would trust Kaepernick doing better. Yeah. But we know that's not a popular thing.
No.
Like, I even at my job, one of my new coworkers, God bless his heart, he's like, I don't watch football anymore because, they disrespected the flag. People still don't get and understand that it had nothing to do with that.
Yeah, and there's no point in explaining it further to those people.
Once he said it, I was just like, I bet. I know we can't have that much of a conversation. I know, all right, cool. I won't come to you to talk, but long as I know where you stand. I just shook my head, all right, cool. Because there's no point at this gesture. At this time, we still got to explain that it had nothing to do with the anthem, had nothing to do with the flag. And it's obvious that's still the viewpoint from regular everyday fans to NFL owners. Cap's not in the league. His teammate that stood up with him, The safety, Eric Reed, he's not in the league. It doesn't make sense. So somebody needed to get signed. I might even have a better chance. Cleveland, if y'all listen to this, I'll take half of what Baker is getting paid and let me try. We about the same height.
I don't know if you can throw it 50 yards, but
I'm a little bit faster than him. Give me a shot. It can't be that much worse. You feel me? So you got the Odell situation, and we looking at wide receivers, coming up in week 8. We have 2 big wide receivers that possibly can be signed by a team. They'll be reinstated if all goes well. And AB and Josh Gordon. There's already rumors that AB is supposed to be going to Seattle. Seattle's very interested. The Ravens were, but they just signed Des Bryant to the practice squad. In your situation, if you're a team like the Seahawks, playoff team that want to get some more firepower, because the Seahawks already have DK Metcalf, who is really on his way to being a huge superstar problem in this league. Who do you get, AB or Josh Gordon?
If you got to choose, it's AB easily. Like, you already got DK. You don't need another big receiver like that. AB's one of these quick guys who can get in and out. Not to mention Lockett, too. So that receiving core is going to be nasty if he does sign there. And as we've seen, Russell Wilson's on his way to MVP maybe, because they're letting him throw it way more this year. Mm-hmm. So if you add another weapon, like an all-pro weapon, not just some like average Joe who's been sitting on, well, not sitting, but doing IG videos like Des Bryant, but he's a little better than Des at this point. We can agree on that. It's been a while since Des was an all-pro, maybe like 5-6 years. AB was an all-pro like 2 years ago. So
do you think,
same with Josh Gordon? It's been 7 years since he was an all-pro. So
he's still an all-pro at smoking weed though. He is. On Madden, he has the highest level. He has that good. Do you think Des Bryant makes this Ravens roster? Just think about, like you just mentioned, the point at the height of his career to be at this point now of being signed to a practice squad.
It's a fall from grace, honestly. But I think he should be able to make this team because, one, he's not one of those burners. He's never been. He can be one of those like tough receivers like an Anquan Bolden who's getting short routes, doing slants and dig routes and stuff like that, and he can still catch. So, I mean, with this team, with Lamar Jackson, that's kind of what they do. They don't take chances downfield. They work the short routes. So I think that Dez makes a lot of sense for them. He's probably the only player that makes sense for any team at this point because, I don't know, he's not what he used to be.
We'll see. I think he got some left in his tank. I'm a believer of the IG videos.
Oh,
I believe in
going
him.
Against these top-notch corners out there. Right?
I'm talking about the footwork.
Footwork.
The corners, obviously, they just randoms walking by probably and wanted to hop in the workout. Like the last one he did, it was somebody that I think they was like your son's height that was guarding him. So it wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't nobody legit. It wasn't no Champ Bailey, no Darrell Reeves or anything like that. But he looked healthy. He looked like the footwork is still there. The thing, like you said, that we do have to be wary of and concerned, you're breaking and making these moves against people that are nowhere near as fast or physical as in the NFL. But it's good to see you still working out. It's good to see you still grinding. You didn't give up. Some people in his situation, being out the league this long, working out. I'm going to just stack this money, find a business venture.
He already had enough money saved up already, but some people just, they love the game too much, and he wasn't ready to let it go, especially go out like that.
Of course, that's not the way you want to go out. A lot of times you don't get the choice of how you end your career, so I think he'll be able to do that now, control how it ends. That would be a tough way to end the career. But looking into week 7, what are some of the games that stick out to you? I know one of the big games I'm looking at is Pittsburgh and Tennessee.
Yeah, I was going to say that one.
I'd love to see that matchup, to see how that goes out with Pittsburgh playing well. Tennessee, Tannehill again, who is in that MVP conversation. You even got to throw in, it's a lot of people throwing the quarterbacks on there for the MVP race, but you got to put Derrick Henry up there.
Yeah, they both should be up there, honestly.
Derrick Henry, that's a big boy.
But this is such a quarterback award. Like, it's tough for a running back or a receiver to ever win this because they're not going to put up like crazy stats. Like a QB like Russ, he could throw up like 4,500 passing yards, 40 touchdowns. How do you even compete with that as a running back? Unless like Derrick Henry got like 2,000 yards, 20 touchdowns, then that's where you might see the running back win. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they definitely have a 1-2 punch over there that you just build around. And it was smart. They signed Derrick Henry to the extension. They didn't play around. And same with Tannehill. They took him in after basically only seeing him for like 75% of a season. Mm-hmm. And he's showing it's no fluke. Like this year, he's been probably one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yep, and that's another player that was able to get away from Gase.
See,
I'm loving.
That's why you got to have hope for Sam. Like once Adam Gase gets as far away, his key card stops working, then maybe you get to see the real Sam Darnold.
But yeah, Adam Gase is kind of like, from what it seems like with players getting success after him, it's kind of like a sickness. Like, when you get better from being sick, and it's kind of something like that. It just don't work out too well. I think also I would love to see, just in the rest of the season in general, Le'Veon Bell be Le'Veon Bell. Because that's nice. Going to literally, it's another player where, all right, Gase, you got to look in the mirror. We're saying you got to look in the mirror now. Obviously, he doesn't have any mirrors in his house, so he hasn't.
No, he shattered them all.
He probably
they broke him.
They're all covered up still. You know, he's moving into the new house in Florham Park and whatnot. They haven't got the mirrors in yet.
I think the for sale signs got to be going up soon.
He might stay in the area, since
Montclair State might hire him.
People like hiring in the division, the Jets, Dolphins, maybe get an assistant job somewhere.
Oof.
I'm pretty sure you said Montclair State. I would go as even far as saying West Orange High School. He might be a good coordinator on that squad, like quarterback coach for the West Orange High School at this point. Another game I'm looking forward to, San Fran and New England. See if Cam could bounce back. Their offense was abysmal. They looked like, literally, if you had to describe it as one thing, the Patriots looked constipated. Their offense looked constipated. They needed some type of lubricant, something to get the offense going. The fact that they even lost and none of the teams scored a touchdown. It was all field goals that whole game.
I know.
That was probably...
Well, no, the Patriots scored 1 touchdown, but to lose to the Broncos like that is...
Broncos, all they had was field goals. Shout out to their kickers, because I know fantasy, those kickers were...
20 points right there.
Were great, but I'm looking forward to see if Cam could bounce back this week against the San Francisco 49ers. That's not that elite defense that we've come to know.
Yeah.
So hopefully they better bounce back. I think they need some more weapons also.
Clearly. He's throwing to Edelman and running backs, and that's it. And then he's basically the number 1 option on the offense. Like I hope they don't run him into the ground before the season's over.
That's the thing I'm concerned about, because it's basically like a 1-year rental. We don't care if you get injured or not. I don't think they have any plans of bringing him back. It's
for the right price. I don't think they'll pay too much, because Belichick can make pretty much anything work at this point. But maybe not the backups they have now, so they might have to, draft a quarterback. But I don't know. Cam, it'll be interesting when he's a free agent. Who's willing to pay him top dollar for him to be a QB.
I don't even think top. Just pay him what he deserves.
But
man.
What is that at this point?
I don't know what. I can't put a number on it, but
$10 million feels too low. $20 million feels
probably too
pushing
high.
it. Yeah.
So maybe somewhere you meet in the middle. But the contract that he got right now and the list of quarterbacks that's getting paid more than him is absolutely ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
That's like it just don't make no sense. That's like you decide to pay Jay-Z. I'm not saying he's obviously the GOAT status, but I'm saying of the track record that Cam Newton has, you're paying Ty Dolla $ign more money than Jay-Z.
Yeah, that would be mind-blowing right there.
Mind-blowing, you feel me? Shout out to Ty Dolla $ign. He got an album that just dropped today. Friend of the podcast. I'm going to check out your album later. Any more games you looking forward to this week?
Well, the obvious one, I think, is the Seahawks-Cardinals one. Because that's a division one. That's a division battle. Cardinals are 4-2, so they're pretty good this year. And Kyler's... he looks really good. Like running, passing it, he's dynamic. It's different than Russell Wilson. He's like a faster Russell Wilson. Mm-hmm. Although Russell's still a lot better than him at this point.
I think it's going to be a shootout for sure. Both defenses are kind of suspect. Mm-hmm. Your man from the Jets that is on the Seahawks now.
Oh, Jamal. He should be coming back.
He should be coming back. But even when he was there, though, they were still giving up 300, 350 yards a game. So I don't think that's going to solve all the problems. I don't think it's going to solve any of the problems, actually. Their defense just isn't that good this year. And I think that's where even the more you give the MVP to Russell Wilson, because he has to throw dang near every game, 350 yards minimum, 3 touchdowns, and run for about 60 yards.
Yeah.
So you got to put him in that conversation. Speaking of quarterbacks running, though, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about your boy. Well, not your boy, but your neighbor, basically. Y'all share the same arena. Daniel Jones, 80-yard run. We saw the memes. They said it basically Lance Stevenson blew, like he blew on LeBron's ear and he fell. Does that go down as one of the top bad plays in like New York sports history? Being that you are our New York sports aficionado on the show.
I wouldn't put it up there as being that bad, but because they still ended up scoring a touchdown. Mm-hmm. But it just looks bad because of how bad the Giants are, and it doesn't make it any better that your quarterback's got a 10-yard advantage over these cornerbacks chasing him. Like, he would have scored easily. They said he timed, or like his miles per hour was faster than like Lamar Jackson's ever ran in the NFL, which that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. But the fact he didn't score on that play is so funny because I love it when New York fans like to compare the two quarterbacks, Darnold, Jones, and I say it's not close. Like, Darnold's better. He just doesn't have the same weapons that Daniel Jones has.
He reminds me, he's a nicer version of Eli Manning. I get all Eli Manning vibes from looking at Daniel Jones.
So Eli wasn't nice when he was around?
He was decent. Eli Manning, the only thing that helps him out is because he has Super Bowl rings. But besides that, he looks like somebody that you would see on a Saturday playing flag football in the park.
Well, that's how most of those quarterbacks look.
To me, he wasn't elite. It's the rings that help out the conversation for him. Week 7, we'll be looking forward to these games. Definitely, like you said, the Seattle Seahawks, Arizona Cardinals game. Besides that, we'll see what else goes on. Not that any other games really stick out to me. Buffalo, for example, they're 12-point favorites. I think they'll cover that spread. Atlanta, I think they'll beat Detroit. They seem like they played pretty well going into Minnesota last week. We'll see how week 7 goes. Fantasy's been going well for me. How's fantasy been going for you?
It's been going pretty good.
It's been going pretty good. Okay. We're going to transition into our next segment. As y'all know, the Flag on the Play segment. Accept or decline. I'm going to hit you with 2 of them. You could decide whether you accept or decline. You already know what the plan, what the vibes is on the whole thing. First one, The NBA, it's an NBA agent that anonymously basically questioned the validity of Rich Paul as an agent. Accept or decline.
I'll accept that one. Yeah.
So, an NBA agent anonymously basically said that the recruiting and the players that Rich Paul has received is solely off of LeBron, and LeBron is actually recruiting. And he said this is illegal because players aren't supposed to be a part of this side of the business. Thoughts on the continual hate we see thrown towards Rich Paul and LeBron James' team?
I just think that, LeBron's definitely invested in Rich Paul. I mean, that's his agent. That's one of his close friends. Of course, you're going to want to see him do well. And, I'm sure LeBron talks a little bit to these players out here, but don't try to discredit, Rich Paul.
Exactly.
He went to school for this. This is not what he planned to do, but in the end, this is what he ended up doing. And
he learned the business.
And he's really good at it, too.
You even saw it with the NCAA.
They try to make the Rich Paul rule.
Yeah, he doesn't get the respect that he deserves. I think LeBron should have mentioned him up on his speech. Rob Pelinka, the Lakers family, Jeannie Buss, Rich Paul. We want our damn respect. He should have threw Rich Paul in there for that regard, because Rich Paul doesn't get that same respect.
No.
And I think it's the same thing as any agency. If I have on my agency, let's go with CAA, Creative Artists Agency, right? I have on my roster, hey, I'm thinking about signing you, but let me show you. I got Jay-Z on my roster.
Yeah.
Technically, Jay-Z ain't got to say nothing to you.
He doesn't, but it speaks for itself.
Exactly. So I think it's a lot of hate thrown towards his way, and a lot of, it has to be LeBron speaking to them. Think about the astute businessman that LeBron is. The fact that he's signed to his boy gives him some credibility, because he wasn't originally signed to him. Once Rich learned the game, learned the business, all right, cool, I'm signed to Rich. He started an agency. We see what's going well for LeBron. We see all the things that's happened for him off the court, which I'm pretty sure is a part of his pitch too. I'm pretty sure Rich Paul played a factor in LeBron getting to the Space Jam 2. Outside of LeBron being that person, LeBron got enough on his plate. You need an agent that's going to handle the stuff. I'm going to get you the money off the court, things of that nature. Since AD came to the Lakers and signing with Rich Paul, I've seen AD on potato chips, lime jalapeno. They disgusting, but he's on chips. I've seen him in commercials. Yeah. He's making more money on that unibrow than he's ever made before, which I think, AD, you a friend of the show. You should cut it at this point. You made your point. It's like the Crooked Smile song. You embraced it, but it's time to let it go. But Rich Paul is valid, bruh. It's just that simple. He's valid, and the hate has to stop at some point. It just has to stop, bruh.
I wonder if the hate would be the same if he was, white, going through the same thing, because he didn't necessarily do the same steps that some of these other agents did. Like, they go to law school, all this stuff. I don't think he did that, but yet he's able to get these top-notch clients, like A-list clients, and people, they can hate all they want, but he's doing his thing. He's doing his thing.
Exactly, which is why, I don't even take that it's so serious in regards. The agent decided to be anonymous.
Well, put your name on it if you're going to say it. Put your name
on it and all. And like you said, it definitely, his success is not celebrated because he is, one, a black male. Two, he did not do it the typical way. So that is what it is.
No, it's probably somebody's former agent saying it anonymously, hating because he took one of their clients.
Probably. Might have been Lonzo Ball's old agent. Who knows? Because he signed with Clutch Sports. But the next one, which was very controversial and interesting, I'm going to talk on it even if you decline it. But Saweetie said, do not date a man unless he can pay for a Birkin bag.
I'm declining it.
Okay, you could decline it. Ladies out there, I'm gonna tell y'all, do not go with this mindset. If he cannot buy you a Birkin bag, that does not mean he don't love you. I think the thing that should be preached is that it's nice if he gets you one, but you need to be able to get yourself one too. Are y'all looking for sponsors or are you looking for support? This sounds very sponsorific. I'm glad I'm married and don't have to worry about this. But I think this is sending the wrong message. I think this is going to start again. Another wave of females like, can you get me a Birkin bag? No, you can't get a Birkin bag? Next. And Birkin bags can go from anywhere, I believe, starting cheapest, 220, 300, all the way up to the thousands for a bag. Fellas, get creative. Learn how to create the bags, the fake ones, make it look like a Birkin bag.
Well, this one over here costs 20,000.
20,000 for a bag. Hey, ladies, if you could get a man to buy you a Birkin bag, just ask for the cash and get an LLC, start a business. Finesse. I'm all for the finessing. Do that. I'm still not worried _0 on IG. Get the bread. You can send some my way, like a finder's fee because I gave you the idea. That's the way you should go about it. But nah, bro, stop showing me this 78,000 for a bag. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's what I owe college. I owe not 78,000, like 64,000, but still, that's mad bread. 78K.
That bag better pay rent. It's another person at this point.
At this point, I always joke around with my wife because she got a big old bag. I'll be like, yo, so did you bring your house today? Because they be big bags for no reason that don't do anything. And then it's like, you can't put it on the table. You can't put it in the chair. It got to be sat right here. It's got its own little section in the bedroom. Look, y'all listen to that if y'all want. Transitioning to some NBA. Van Gundy was hired. Tyronn Lue was hired. Van Gundy went to the Pelicans. We'll start off with him. Do you think this is the right hire for that young nucleus of a team with the Pelicans of Zion, Lonzo, B.I., Josh Hart?
I mean, it's definitely out of left field. I didn't know he was a candidate for any of these jobs at this point. I mean, Jeff hasn't gotten a job in years. I didn't think Stan was going to get one before him. But, I mean, he's led the Magic to the finals. That's his calling card at this point. That's his selling point. I thought they would have gone with, like, Kenny Atkinson, somebody to help develop the young players and make this team competitive over the next years like he did in Brooklyn. But it'll be interesting to see what Stan does this time around.
I know it's a tough thing because it's not like he's not qualified, but it just brings up again the discussion of the lack of representation when it comes to black personnel. You mentioned Jeff Van Gundy, his counterpart Mark Jackson. I don't know what it is. The man can't give an interview. Like you said, it was kind of left field. We was hearing a couple of names, but I didn't see Stan Van Gundy as the person on that as a viable candidate. I'm just very interested. Like, he did bring that Orlando Magic team to the finals, but it was a lot of veterans on that squad. So I'm interested to see how he's going to deal with a young team where they're still building. If we being honest, even with a full season with Zion, we'll see maybe an 8th seed, maybe a 7th seed. Is he going to have that patience to actually wait for them to develop? Or is he going to get impatient at any point? And we'll see, some issues arising in that situation, because that's my only thing. It's a young team. I think like you said, you should get a Kenny Atkinson. You should get somebody that can help develop the young players. Stan Van Gundy, I think, is the coach that you want to get when it's a playoff team already. You got aspirations to get to the championship. You don't bring them in for a young team that's still trying to get into the playoffs. Tyronn Lue We talked about it. He was getting interviews elsewhere. We were wondering why they were even allowing it, but he actually stays in Los Angeles. He's a Clipper. Thoughts on that hiring? Is this the right sign-in? What do you think about Ty Lue being the Clippers coach?
I mean, that's kind of what I thought they'd go with the whole time. I mean, they already had him on staff with Doc Rivers. Thought it was pretty seamless for this team, even though it sounds like they might blow it up to an extent. But I still think, him coaching Bron and what he did over there still holds weight. So hopefully he can do the same thing with Kawhi. And, he can't do any worse than Doc Rivers at this point.
Speaking of the team blowing up, I think it's a good sign. I like that Conversations is having Chauncey Billups on that coaching staff. There's been talks of also having Kenny Atkinson on that coaching staff.
Which would be great if you're going to get rid of all these guys and have young players. He's going to help that.
Yeah, I think that'll be a nice fit. But one of the suggestions out there, Shaq came out on his podcast. Shout out to Shaq. You're welcome on the show at any time. We're actually recording in Newark, where you're from, so you should come on the show anyhow and whenever you see this. But he suggested, hey, you trade Paul George. Let Kawhi be the head man, and then you put two nice pieces around him because you have, in a sense, confusion. You got one person thinking they're the man, and they're not the man. So do you agree? Do you think they should trade Paul George or give it one more season to try it again?
I think I saw somewhere somebody said the team would probably work better with Kawhi as just the guy, and you build around that instead of having Kawhi and then you have Paul George kind of back and forth trying to see who's the man or not. I think, you're giving up on the experiment this soon. It means you really don't believe in this working.
2K didn't believe in it because, Paul George rating dropped to 88 on 2K21.
As it should. He played awful in the playoffs.
I would have dropped it a little bit lower, 85.
No. He's still good, but
I would like to see what they got on there as his clutch rating though. That gotta be dropped.
They're still working on it.
Yeah,
they don't know what to put.
It gotta be dropped. Low key, we know some people that play at LA Fitness that might be more clutch in those situations.
Tone might be more clutch than Paul George, honestly.
I don't know. I don't know if I'd have been able to do the bubble and having a migraine for the whole playoffs and whatnot like he was going through. You feel me? I don't know, but if that's how you feel about me
this year,
if that's how you feel about me, I'll take the compliment. I'll take my flowers while I'm still here. But I think you trade Paul George. I don't think this squad works like this. I think that also frees up some cap space.
Montrez can come back now.
I don't think you saw Trez back, but
why not? He was good off the bench.
Because at the end of the day, I guess you could sign Trez back, but it don't matter. Laker Nation, Lakers going back to the finals next year, so you could sign Trez back. You could sign T.O. You could sign Monte Ellis come out of retirement. You could bring Reggie Miller for shooting. You could sign whoever you want. Lakers to the finals again next year. I'm calling it now. It'll be Lakers, Warriors, see each other in conference finals. LeBron gonna be hungry because he want to be better. He want to be in that conversation with MJ. Lakers back to the finals next year. I can't say who's in the East yet because we got to see how free agency pops off in the East and what's going on with that. And I don't think it matters who they sign. I don't think that roster, it works. I think it's great they gave Ty Lue 5 years to try to figure it out. Even Ballmer, the owners, came out and said he was disappointed. So something's got to change. Your owner already came out and said he's disappointed. Somebody's out. And if I was a betting man, I'd put the tuition money I owe that Paul George is out. Paul George is out. It's just that, to me, he got to be out.
You got to do what you got to do. Kawhi's only going to be this good for so long, so take advantage while you can.
I think he probably ought to play the 45, with lower management.
Oh, yeah, I forgot he does that. He sits out when he wants to.
He plays on 40 games a year.
He's here for rings. He's not here for regular season stats and all that stuff. He's here to bring rings to L.A.
Yeah, he already helped bring one. So he's doing his job has been accomplished. He's doing it. But this is the end of this episode of the Bench Mob Podcast. Make sure y'all subscribe, like it, share it with your uncle, your cousin, your baby mom, even though you don't like her, share it with everybody. Hit us up on Anchor. Hit us up if y'all want any merch. But you already know, rule number 1, stay ready. You ain't got to get ready. Bench Mob, we out. Peace.